Hi, this is Dr. Cairns. Welcome to week 7 of Managing Teams in Conflict. I've been enjoying your interactions with each other in the forum discussions, as well as your critical thinking and application of course material to the reading Every Good Endeavor. Just really some phenomenal faith integration that's going on, and I just encourage you to continue to think and reflect, and also make sure you keep copies of your reflections. Just an excellent job. Thank you for your thoughtful analysis with the 12 spies found in the book of Numbers, a story familiar to most of us, those anyway that grew up going to Sunday school. I've heard that familiar passage, and it's interesting, and one of the takeaways that I have of that is that here you have Moses hearing a direct command from God, a promise actually given to him, and yet he found a way through his own humanity to spoil what God really had in store for him, and as such the children of Israel. And how many times in our own lives do we think we may have heard the voice of God, or we hesitate, or we're reluctant to step out when we know that we've been given and encouraged and prompted to move forward. So it happens to all of us, and we just need to be aware that there are actually things occurring, whether it's through inferential error or group polarization, or the fact of social comparison, or some other aspect. There are things at play in our own humanity that will prevent us perhaps from stepping out and engaging in what God has for us. So we need to be aware of that. It's certainly going to be at work where we're going to experience managing people, and that's going to be an interesting dynamic for us. So just a caution to let you know that, you know what, hearing the voice of God doesn't necessarily assure that we're going to move forward. So we need to be aware of other things that are taking place in our life. So thank you for that thoughtful reflections that you had and engagement with each other in the forum discussion. So let's review our roadmap, where we're going, how we're going to get there, and we see we've made another step, completing our reflections this week, as well as another forum discussion, and we're getting ready to move forward this week. So just be aware that weeks 7, 8, and 9 really do go fast for us. This week you have a group activity in the forum discussion. We'll talk about that in a moment, as well as your group analysis paper is due week 8, and then you have a cooperative exam for week 9. So you have, for the final leg of this course, some interactions and requiring the cooperation of each one of the members of the group that you're a part of. So this week you're going to be reading chapters concerning power in groups and a central dynamic, and what you're going to be looking at are various forms of power, and I have 3 pictured here. One is in terms of dominance, and that's power over people, that we get our power because people have less power, so we take power from them. And then I have a picture of Ben Franklin, who said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so power from is when we resist those who may be trying to dominate us or exercise power over us. And then we're looking at empowerment, and that's giving power and authority to individuals. And I like the story found in Genesis of Joseph. And if you'd like to read a little bit about power and the sources of power, I would encourage you to go check that out in the book of Genesis, chapter 42. It's one of my favorite passages because it really does show the dynamic of power over individuals and how influence can be used, which is at the source of all power. Also in your text, you're going to be looking at other sources of power and where does it come from. And I have pictured here Newman from the Seinfeld episodes, and those of you who are familiar with Seinfeld know that Newman was a mail carrier. And there was one particular episode where he was quite upset with Jerry, and he wanted to let Jerry know that he could have some consequences as such, and he wanted them, and so he made a statement by saying, when you control the mail, you control information, and information is truly power. And then we have also another source of power can come from our knowledge or expertise, where individuals will come to us because we are the ones that have the answer. And then I have pictured here the carrot and the stick set. and where people might try inducements to get people to do something, and if that doesn't work, they resort to punishments. So we have rewards and punishment. And then we also have some personal qualities that each one of us may possess, or the group members may want to have evident in their leaders. And so looking at this, I have just a couple examples, but there could be others that individuals will identify and see as a personal quality that they will relate to. And then we have also legitimate authority. That's really what I would call the chain in command, so that power essentially flows from the top. So this week you're going to be looking at power in groups. And then also you're going to be exploring a chapter on conflict management in groups. And so here I've isolated various styles of conflict that are evident, and each one of us possesses a style, and you're going to have an opportunity to explore your own style, and perhaps you already know it. But it's important to know that a style always operates within a context. And so I have kind of listed here a gear shift, if you would, for a vehicle, and you could look at various types of conflict styles, and maybe you want to shift into another style based upon whatever the conflict requires. And so whether that be avoiding, compromising, accommodating, collaborating, or competing, you're going to read more about when the effectiveness of those styles is best utilized. And then I have a verse from Proverbs where we find really our reactions to conflict when we're faced with that. Perhaps it's a gentle answer that will really reduce someone's anger and diffuse a situation and allow us to resolve a situation. So this week I continue to daily make mention of you in my prayers, and I can tell God is working in your lives, and that's just my prayer for continued breakthrough for each one of you. I've heard various things that each one of you have, or some of you have said to me that has been taking place as a result of either every good endeavor or some aha moments that you've been having. And so our prayer is that you'll have more of those in a breakthrough, whether that's personally, professionally, or spiritually, or all the above. So this week you have a conflict resolution exercise that you'll be engaged with as a group activity in groups of 2 or 3. So you have an option. One is that you could use the American Dream, the Hormel case study, as your source of analysis, or you could choose a conflict of your own, one that's happening in a current event within, say, the past couple years. You could apply the same analysis to that. So it's your choice. I have a brief documentary. It's about 90 minutes long. It doesn't mean that you have to go out and find another documentary or something. This just gives you some backdrop if you want to use that particular example for your conflict study. It's entirely up to you. So again, you're going to be doing that in groups of 2 or 3, looking and exploring issues of power as well as conflict management and conflict resolution. So you're reading the chapters in Power in Groups and Conflict and Manage, looking ahead to week 8, where there'll be the group team study paper will be due, as well as a cooperative exam week 9. So just thinking ahead. If you have any questions or concerns about anything, please let me know. Otherwise, have a blessed week.